Salve YouTube, and welcome to another multiplayer online battle video. Here we are today. I'm using Egypt and I'm playing against Epirus. I've got 3 Ptolemaic Cav, I've got 7 Galatians, 2 Thorough Swordsmen, and 2 Cretan Archers, and we are playing on the Carthago map. So this map is actually pretty good for sword armies that are trying to I guess catch a Phalanx army off a position or out of position and try to deal with it. Just because the map itself is curved a lot, and Rome 2 has been getting a serious amount of patching. I'm not sure if it's helped the multiplayer experience a lot, but I know overall it's done a lot of good for the game. For example, single player, I've been playing so much as that, like usually I have a single player game that I record for YouTube and a single player game that I don't record for YouTube. And like the one that I don't record for, I'm down, or I'm there to 70 turns. But anyway, this is a live recording, so I'm going to be casting after the thing. I am on the, I like to call the bad spawn. Just because I don't get to kind of see my opponent's army, but at the same time I can, if I wanted to, go around the right side, and a lot of players don't really expect that, but I'm going to be lining up on the left here, and this isn't really a balanced army, I'd like to say, but it's the kind of army that allows me to deal with a lot of things that Epirus may want to bring. Sometimes Epirus brings 4 or 5 Cretan archers. In that case, it's going to be very easy for me to just kind of push my infantry line forward, flank with my Thuros, and use my own Cretans to kind of dwindle them down. Here are my beautiful Galatian swordsmen, and funny enough, I actually have noticed that the game runs a lot smoother. I don't know if this is the case for everybody, but I'm running on Ultra now. And I hadn't been able to record, properly on Ultra. Person outside of the cart, please. I'm trying to record a commentary. So as you can see there, the battle just started. I saw a little bit of my opponent's army, but I'm going to move to the left here. I'm not really interested in engaging with Pike Phalanx at that position. Even though after some testing with Zerpt and the Prussian Prince, it appears that Pikes actually do a little bit better in melee when they're on the downhill. Please do look out for those videos. I'm going to be releasing a lot of them this weekend. Sort of videos highlighting very important bugs in multiplayer right now, and just in the battle system that I think need to be sorted out. So it turns out my opponent has some cav on this hill here. These are Aspis companions, so my Ptolemaics are not really going to be able to handle them. I need to draw them out as much as I can, and I will turn here and engage. He does catch 2 of my units, and now look, I see his entire army, and he actually gets a pretty good damn charge. I get a really good charge there on his cav, but he gets a great charge, a counter charge on my cav, so I'm not expecting my Ptolemaics to stay there for much longer. So I need to now make sure that my swordsmen are going to be, stuck into that fight. This is a decent position for me to engage. It's not fantastic. I would have liked to go a little bit more to the left, but I'm going to have to do for now. You can see my opponent has a lot of Hellenic Royal Guards and what appears to be some regular pikemen, and he also has some more archers and reserves in the back as well of spears. So I'm going to need to be very careful with my sword micro, and I'm trying my best to kind of make sure that my line doesn't engage his line frontally, and I'm just gonna keep kind of drawing him back and giving more time for my troops to do well against his cav. And Ptolemaic cavalry always do this to me. They always pleasantly surprise me. Like, look how long they've been in the fight. Just now they start to waver, and that's only because the pike units are getting into that fight. But like, they've been fighting Aspis companion cavalry and doing really well. So Ptolemaic cav doing surprises. Almost get caught there with a Phalanx charge, but I'm not gonna let it happen, and I'm gonna pull back again. And the reason I'm pulling back like this is, if you notice, if you take a look at my opponent's spike troops, they are now not a front line anymore. Like, they're not one cohesive unit, and now it becomes very easy for me to do what I'm doing here, and I'm just gonna surround them really. and deal with one unit at a time. And by the time the other units get to me, because my opponent does an attack order, I'm already where I need to be, and I can get some nice side charges done. And I'm doing that right now. So see, starting to catch units from the side. Same here. See, my opponent is trying to spread his line now. And some of my cav is coming back into the fight, and my swords there are holding the Aspis and the pikes. And my right flank really did a good job in this game. It held out really well, and it was a crucial sort of pivot for my army. I guess the main point though is the sword micro here. Sword units will not be able to beat a pike army like this head on, so if I just engaged, I would have been completely destroyed. Notice that I'm avoiding any sort of frontal charge anywhere I can. I'm always running around, getting a charge at an angle to kind of nullify the power of the spear units. And I think microing your Phalanx properly in this game is something that's very difficult. Unless, of course, you spam an entire Phalanx line and just march it forward across the map. Which, I mean, we've seen a lot, but I think doing this with your swords, it looks a little bit kind of difficult to achieve, but it's not really that hard to do. I think it's more difficult to defend against this type of thing when you're playing with Phalanx army. You have to be really patient and really good with your micro. My advice to Phalanx player is never take your units off of Phalanx. You don't really need to, because they will run fine and they will put their spears down, or Sarissa down, rather quickly anyway. So you shouldn't really be worried. So here we are. My archers have been firing the entire game. My opponent actually hasn't been targeting my archers, and my archers have done a good job to kind of nullify that right flank over there. My Thuro spears have been fighting great, but once I did a little bit of zoom in there, you saw that my opponent didn't really engage his pike units with my sword units. So as you can see here, I do a charge with my swords just to throw their Pila, because a lot of them still have Pila, and I pull back, and this kind of disrupts the pike formation. As you can see, the pike unit kind of came forward and lost that. And here I'm going to do a counter charge on this cav that's trying to catch me, because I am aware that the pikes are not actually engaging my swordsmen directly. I'm just going to keep my swordsmen there to kind of nullify those units. So here we go. My opponent does a really actually good charge against the back of my units. It's a hill advantage, but unfortunately for him, he is not able to rout them. And now I'm just using all these swords that are constantly coming back. Galatians have really high discipline and really high morale, so they're going to keep coming back into these fights. And it appears that in the end of the day, consistency for me is going to kind of win. All of my opponent's pikes are starting to have a bad time. He still has those archers, but I have a lot of infantry. Sure, a lot of my infantry is tired, but I'm pretty sure I can header it. Here are some close-ups. See the pikes up in the air, signaling that they are routing. Glorious Galatians. This right flank did really an outstanding job. And now I'm just going to catch his archers. I'm going to leave this part in, actually, because I think there are some lessons to be taught from how I chase my opponent. You're going to see that I'm going to kind of look how wide I go with, my units, and look how stretched out they are. I think this is the best way to catch archers in this kind of situation. If I were to just put all of my guys in one line, it would be much easier for my opponent to outmaneuver them, given that my units are probably going to be very tired. But I think for my opponent here, it's very difficult because I still have some archer units myself. So not only am I chasing him or her, I'm also sending archers to do the damage. So he's going to stop here, try to get some shots, but units are too close and they're approaching very quickly. I make a mistake here and I select a few units and make lines with them because I think I'm going to catch him here. But you'll see here in a bit that I don't quite catch him. And he's going to try to keep sort of peeling away from my main body, but I'll get him eventually. So yeah, this is I think one of the really good points about Egypt is that Egypt is a very versatile army. I mean, they've got the best pikes in the game. Pound for pound, they will beat any other pike unit. They've got, Cav that continues to surprise me every day. They've got really good archers, really good skirmish, really good support, a real nice infantry variety, really. I mean, Egypt has an outstanding variety of infantry that you could use. And you know, it becomes kind of this dual use faction. You have one core line of players that kind of uses Egypt as this Phalanx based faction, and then you have another kind of person that kind of uses them as a Averni Hellenic counterpart. You know, an army that, like the army I brought today, I've got, you know, 3 Ptolemaic cav, sure, not as strong as noble riders, but you know, they are still capable of holding their own, and with enough support, they kind of do the job. But I mean, the reason why you'd pick a Egyptian sword army over an Arverni sword army is not because it's better stats, but because your opponent is going to keep guessing what kind of army you're going to be bringing. Whereas when you pick Arverni, it's pretty limited. So Egypt, very versatile faction. I think very, very viable. Gonna become even more viable with the way the multiplayer community seems to be heading right now. We seem to be heading towards a rule set that, you know, is going to limit elite infantry to 6 or 7, and limit pikes to I think 8. So there are some movements that are probably going to make Egypt and maybe even Epirus and Macedon a little bit more viable, but they are already quite viable anyway. Wow, I went on a tangent there. So as you can see now, my opponent's units are starting to kind of get trapped. Eventually, after I spread out long enough, you can see that his units start to get separated, and my units are constantly chasing, and like this one over here now. See how I change targets with some of them? And because I always have more flanking to the side, I can also change targets there as well. So now I'm gonna hold and catch 2 of his units, while the 3rd one has escaped. I am kind of worried about time now, but I still have 10 minutes, and I'm pretty sure I can catch him and kill him. And odds are, if I rout 2 of them, the 3rd one is probably gonna crumble anyway. So here we go. I'm just sending my troops forward, and this is a trick I like to do sometimes to catch units. Look at how I ordered them to kind of line up horizontally and then vertically and then back again. This kind of makes them do a V, which I think allows them to cover more ground. It's just a little thing I kind of figured out. This one gets caught here, and yeah, there we go, catching him. And now this archer unit, I'm gonna send them towards that one that's in the distance, and my opponent's just running away. So I was assuming at the time that excuse me, he wanted to go for a draw, but I think the battle ends here, and his Cretans are going to finally rout. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about this video, or from this video. Again, Egypt is one of my favorite factions in the game so far. Egypt and Macedon really love to use those factions, just because, you know, you can people kind of expect you to bring the Phalanx, and you know, you can get a really strong sword army. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this battle. More battles to come soon. As you can see, I've got plenty of replays here, but the replay system is still bugged, unfortunately. Here's the kill stats. I've got 1440 men to his 1680. I've lost 700 men and killed 1000. It's a close victory. His most distinct units were definitely, I would say, his cavalry. But they didn't perform as well as I would have liked. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.